Welcome to the first episode of Bloom with Lotus Flower Media. I am Elizabeth Denham, owner of Lotus Flower Media, here with Luke, our creative director. And today we want to talk about Reels and the importance of Reels and why we think people should do Reels. So, Luke, from a creative director perspective, tell me a little bit about the importance of video and the power of it, and kind of what's going on in the social media marketing today.
Okay. So in terms of social media trends, we've definitely seen that there's been a mass exodus of people going towards TikTok-based content, those short form reels. Now they have currently over 1.5 billion active users, which is basically just goes to show you that people are just getting accustomed to that swipe format. And so we can actually back that up by noticing that Instagram Reels and other visual content in Facebook and LinkedIn gets 22% more engagement than traditional videos when you post it. So, as opposed to posting just those Reels on your Instagram feed, posting them as a Reel within your Instagram feed is going to get an immense amount more visibility to your audience.
Okay, so explain the difference for people who may be less familiar with lingo, the difference between a traditional video and a reel.
Post content on your grid is mostly for followers that you already have. And then those reel videos are going to show up on the different navigation tabs. And those are more gravitated towards an audience that's going to be outside of your typical circle.
Does the reel algorithm and that kind of thing apply beyond Instagram? Does it work on other platforms as well?
Yes, so we noticed it began with TikTok. That was kind of where the swiping short form reel content came to be. And we've noticed all of the other Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, all of those kind of businesses have followed suit just because they've noticed that when they do incorporate those services, they're showing an immense amount more viewership, reach. On Facebook, posts are they typically see 135% more organic growth compared to just photos. And so it's not just that they're being uh, seen by a wider audience in terms of the algorithm, but it's just there's an organic aspect of you're seeing those people interact with those posts more as well.
When we talk about the swipe, people like to swipe. That's in opposition to the scroll, right?
Yes, there are clear distinctions now within the swipe and the scroll, I guess. And I would say that when you're scrolling, you're going to be seeing everyone's grid posts that they're updating. When you're looking at the different statistics between how posts are performing as opposed to a feed post versus a real post or a TikTok post, you're going to be seeing a lot more time spent swiping on those contents because there's just a more of a natural inclination to just get sucked into videos like that, just because of how culturally we've moved towards incorporating things like TikTok into our day. Those other businesses have capitalized on our habits, and you're seeing those parts of those applications being the predominantly used features now.
Okay, so for people who don't like to be on camera, which is more people than you would think, um, can they do videos that are not talking head videos that would still be effective and still get them in that algorithm?
Yeah, we work with a lot of different industries that have different day-to-day activities that people are interested in. So now that you have a HD camera that you can just pull right out of your pocket, there's a lot of things that we could work with to develop content that will not require you to put your face behind the camera.
So, and one of the things that I think is important to mention too is one thing I always like to say to people is if you're not doing it, your competitors are, right? And so if you don't adapt and if you don't move forward, and we always used to say, hold your phone horizontally to get the wider screen, but that's kind of going by the wayside, isn't it? Now people probably need to hold their phone more vertically for the reels. I mean, podcast type stuff is different, but for the reels, having it in the shape of a phone is a little bit more recommended, I would say. That would you agree that now the recommendation would be to hold their phone vertically instead of horizontally in general?
I would say it's not even about preference anymore. I would say that the way that the social media websites and applications are set up, if you don't record it in that vertical format, you're missing out on a multitude of features that are going to connect you to a broader audience. You're going to be missing out on different promotion opportunities in those spaces as well, because at this point they're kind of categorizing their audiences. And so if you are keeping up with the way that these audiences are being categorized and studying the data, then you can maximize what kind of content is being put in which social media platforms. Because at this point, people who have had businesses for the last 20 years may have a massive email list, and so they think to themselves, my content is being seen by this many people all the time. I have this account that has hundreds and hundreds of followers. But at this point, we're moving beyond just visibility and we're trying to get qualified leads. Those are something that we're talking about where there's an actual person behind the phone or the computer that's going to be clicking on your link and eventually making a potential transaction. Because that's the point. You're trying to bring customers into your service or your messaging, and you want them to interact with it. And so one statistic specifically is that video marketers get 66% more qualified leads than other non-video posts. And that's not even including just a real video or a feed video. That's any video at all. So both of those things are doing 66% better than just a normal photo at this point.
Right. So let's just make it really clear so that everybody is on our same page. The difference between a feed video and a real video, where they live, where they go, how they function.
Yes. And so the feed videos and the feed photos are going to fall within the same category. These are posts that are going to be remaining up on your page all the time. And when people click on your feed, they'll show up. These are going to be promoted more internally toward your followers, as opposed to when you're making a real post, your point of those videos are to reach somebody who is scrolling within topics similar to your business. And so the reels exist as almost like a form of messaging, like, hello, this is what we're doing on our page. Would you be interested in this? And then when you gather those people, or you have those people from networking in like in your physical location or however, then you will have that audience and communicate with the audience that you have via your feed posts. So a lot of like young people call it their main. So you'll have maybe somebody come up and say, should I post this on my main? And they're trying to say, should I make this a temporary post? Should I make it a story post, a reel? Should I make it, even though reels exist eternally, they have a little bit less of a seriousness to some people. And so you can get away with posting something that you wouldn't typically post on your main feed. So it is also an opportunity to lighten up. You have a very professional voice and tone. You can just do something more eye-catching.
So a little bit more experimental, maybe.
Yeah, experimental, informal. I know a lot of corporations, if you go to TikTok, they typically there's probably separate people running it just because, or a very talented writer, because the tones and the voices of the brands are extremely different. And a lot of that has to do with generationally. If you're an older business trying to reach a younger audience, you're gonna have to adapt because you need to find the places where these younger people are flocking to, and that is in real short form video content. It's not on your main.
Yeah, and a great example of that, I think, is the Washington Post. I don't know if you've seen their reels and their TikTok, but it's incredibly different from what they post on their main, right? Their feed is much more professional, much more buttoned up, I would say. But you go to their TikTok and it's hilarious. I think not being afraid to have fun is something that's important to do. And one thing too, I would say, and I know reels live on, but they do feel less evergreen. Like you swipe and it's gone, and you really don't generally go back to it that much, right? Would you say that's the case?
I would say that's the case. Even when I go on somebody's TikTok, I'll probably go through most the first six that they've posted. And then if not, if the ones that are important will be pinned. That's another feature that I think definitely should be more equipped by businesses, and that is the pinning feature. Because you can put specific posts from your feed onto the top of your feed, and so you're kind of taking into account that your audience has a very short attention span. Just trying to repost things that you need to emphasize, pin those things, and then just assume that the rest of it is probably not going to be seen like outside of the time that you've seen it, unless somebody is really scrutinizing your feed.
Now that we've kind of gone over reels and short form video, Lotus Flower can help you with all those things, right? So basically one of the things that we can help with is spending an hour with a client, pre-scripting some questions, Q&A, doing that with a client for about an hour and using it for multiple forms of media. So using it as a full-length video that they could put on a blog, they could make a video blog on their website, they could put on a full-length YouTube and have that full conversational video. But then we can help them go through and break up an hour's worth of content into anywhere between 10 and 20 videos, depending on how the questions are answered and how it's scripted out, and use that across multiple platforms, correct?
Exactly. At Lotus Flower Media, we're basically just trying to do all of the heavy lifting in terms of that creative aspect for the client. We would essentially just need, if they didn't have that video content themselves, an hour of their time, like you said, we would start the meeting telling them exactly the kind of content that we think would be best, and then record there. We've taken Zoom videos with the worst quality, and you can do a lot with editing audio and graphics. Not only do we edit the actual videos in terms of making your content flow and the audio quality and video good, but we're also going to be able to offer other graphic services and like bumpers and music, do a lot of the heavy lifting. When I was doing my digital media production program at FSU, they talked about the fact that the one thing that could really make your video professional is audio.
Right. So there are things that you can get help with when you have professional editors who are proficient with audio and video, that can really take your video up to the next level.
Basically, what you're saying is that our job for the client is to be a creative problem solver. We want to meet you where you are with what you have and see what you're willing to do. And that could be nothing. You could say, here's what I have, make it work. And that's our job, and we will make it work.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think, I mean, for us, this is something kind of fun. It's a very creative outlet for something that is positive marketing for your business and positive messaging. And the thing is, people resonate. We always tell people when we do analytics meetings with clients to talk about how their posts and social media have been performing. And I would say 98% of the time, the posts and videos and reels that perform the best are posts that have the personal side of a business. Birthday posts do great, employee spotlights do great, branch spotlights do great. Um, Getting out into the community and doing community service, those do great. We have one client who's one of the people coaches baseball team, those do great. Um, we have other clients who work with Feeding America. I mean, those posts do great. So where you can show that personal side of your story, relate that to the professional side of your business, and show yourself engaging with the world around you. I mean, that's the stuff that gets really exciting on social media and people really relate and resonate with. So it's stuff to think about, and it's really not as hard as people think it can be. And if you have a team on your side to help you get ideas and flesh those things out, and we've got clients that will sit on the Zoom and we'll hide ourselves and we'll just record them and coach them through it and just have them on the camera if it's a one person show. But also we can have a Zoom video where you're interviewing, you and your business partner or your employee are interviewing each other and do kind of a sit down style interview and then break that up. So there's a lot of options. And I think one of the things that makes it less intimidating is having a good team behind you, right?
Yeah, and we're not asking anyone to come and be the next social media influencer of the world. We're basically just trying to say that the value that you have behind your business is your humanity.
The point is, do some video, do some reels, and call Lotus Flower Media. Um, Luke and I work very closely together on these things, and we are happy to coach you through it and help you get some content out there. So, Luke, thanks for your words of wisdom. And tune in next time. We will see you and let us help your brand bloom.